what is the craziest thing in the world is once again back in the AFC East, the Pats quarterback situation. What are they doing, Stan? What are they doing up there in New England, in Connecticut, the place you love? Why is this going on? I mean, you got Mac Jones, right? All week there was like this mystery surrounding the quarterback. Media would ask, who are you starting on Sunday? And Bill said, I've told everyone to be ready. Well, he sends Mac Jones back out there after benching him. And he throws like 3 interceptions or something and has a fumble, has a terrible game. Let me get Mac's stats up here first. He was getting outperformed by Tommy DeVito, who is an undrafted free agent rookie. Mac Jones had 89 yards and 2 interceptions, and I think he had a fumble on top of that. What? You send in Bailey Zappi. Okay, now you're just doing this weird, like, crisscross thing. They waived Will Grier at some point. Your quarterback's confidence is shot. All of them. None of them know if you're confident in them. You're just trying to plug and place people in a desperate attempt to win. I mean, what do you think about this situation?
I mean, I think as you said, the confidence is a big part of it. I think also, I think Belichick just hates all of his quarterbacks. He hates every quarterback ever besides Tom Brady. And maybe Tom Brady is a part of that. Maybe after, having the best quarterback in the history of the NFL for so many years, it's not as easy to play with a normal quarterback. It's not easy to game plan when you have a normal man on the field. So there's definitely a lot of questions about Bill Belichick, his ability to lead a team, to get an offense started. But with Mac Jones and Zappi, I don't think I could say who's better than the other. Quite frankly, neither of them are really looking like NFL quarterbacks right now. And especially against the Giants, a 3-interception game against the Giants, I mean, that takes the cake. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words, quite frankly. If you started the Giants' defense in fantasy, you probably got what? At least maybe 15, 17 points.
You've got quite a bit because they only allowed 10 they only allowed 7 points.
7 points. So, I mean, look at that. It's the Patriots just not looking good as a team. And I think what I was talking about this with some friends who are Patriots fans yesterday. And one thing we discussed is it's not that the Patriots haven't had good pieces, right? Maybe, their wide receiver rooms hasn't been the best, but they've had good tight ends the last few years. They've had good running backs. So what's going on that Mac Jones is looking so much worse than he did last year? So much worse than he did early in his career. And this entire offense seems to be crumbling, even as they're gaining new pieces.
Yeah, Mac Jones was a guy who I wasn't super high on coming out of the draft. I didn't think he was going to be the next Tom Brady like people wanted him to be. And I thought he could be a starter, but he'd be more of a game manager. He wasn't going to be someone who goes out there and wins you games, but he wasn't going to be the reason you lost. Now it's starting to seem like he's the reason you're going to lose games. And I think part of that is because whenever he starts playing poorly, Bill doesn't support him. Bill benches him and puts in his backup. And then he expects Mac to turn around the next week and go back out there and play differently for some reason. Like, are you even coaching him at this point? Or are you just hoping he magically figures it out? There's also been rumors and talk that the Patriots are going to go after a quarterback in this draft, which even further knocks your confidence as a starting quarterback in the NFL when everyone's talking about how bad you are. Your coach is benching you. Mac Jones, I kind of feel for the guy because, I mean, what do you do at this point? He hasn't been playing well, and he knows that. I mean, these players know when they don't do well. But now everyone's saying that he sucks bad enough that the first-round pick the Patriots are going to make is going to be a quarterback when they could go for a lot of other pieces. So do you think the Patriots trade Mac Jones? And if so, what team is interested in him?
Well, I mean, it's a little hard to answer which team is interested in him. I think he can succeed, though, with a lot of teams out there, right? I mean, one, he had some really good – his glimmers early in his career, they were very good. He looked very good as a quarterback. And I think a lot of the issues this year are probably very mental due to, again, having a coach who hates you. So I think a lot of teams are going to take that risk. I kind of think back to the Jets Sam Darnold trade, where you found a team that really wanted a quarterback, thought they could make it work, and it didn't work out in the end for them. But both teams, they got somewhere in a better direction because of that trade. In regards to which specific team, it's a little hard to say. Mac Jones, because of how bad this year has been, his stock is definitely not as high as I think Sam. Like, I think Sam Darnold had a higher stock when he was getting traded. But it's a little hard to say whether Mac Jones is going to be able to make it work out with the Patriots. I think that ship has sailed. But there's 31 other teams in the NFL. I'm sure he'll find a home somewhere.
Yeah, and just to give some context to this, I'm not sure people realize overall how bad Mac Jones has been this year. He has 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So not great. And that is, he also has the worst quarterback rating of his career so far. Last year he had he has progressively gotten worse as his career has gone on. He had finished with 3,801 yards, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 92.5 rating his rookie year. Then in 2022, 2,997 yards, 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 84.8 rating. Now this year, he has 2,120 yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a 77 rating. So he has been trending backwards for his entire career. So part of that would be on Belichick, I think, or whoever is in charge of developing the quarterback. You had a guy who Nick Saban had created, who was winning games in college. He was able to win games in New England. New England fans were very excited about Mac Jones when he got there. Very excited. And now you have all these question marks surrounding it. How did he get this bad? I think is what Patriots fans are asking at this point. And I think that conversation is going to be had in the offseason. Do we move on from Mac Jones? Do we draft Drake May? Or if Caleb Williams falls, which there's talk that Caleb Williams is going to fall, do you draft Caleb Williams? J.J. McCarthy looked great at Michigan. Draft another Michigan quarterback. It worked out great the first time you did it. So maybe you go and do that.
Well, if there's one person I think they're going to move on from, it's going to be Belichick. I think at this point, the end of his career at New England has come. And this Mac Jones situation makes it much worse because Belichick was believed to be the guy who made Tom Brady, right? And you look at him with Cam Newton after, who not the best version of Cam Newton, but still a decent quarterback, followed by Mac Jones, who has a really good rookie year. I think he's probably the best rookie quarterback from that class. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looked bad that year, right? So you have all of these pieces, and you see all of this failure with the quarterback room. I think this is a big blemish to Belichick's record, and I think it's only going to lead to him moving to a different team this offseason.
Yeah, so you mentioned that the Belichick, you think they're going to be moving on. Sorry, I was looking up who the 2021 Rookie of the Year was. It's Micah Parsons. But you mentioned Belichick, what is going to be moved on from now. That's a huge move. Like, as a franchise, for Robert Kraft to say that. But also, this is their worst record since 93. Kraft bought the team in 1994. So this is the worst record the Patriots have had in the New England era, in the Kraft era. Obviously, you had Drew Bledsoe, who was great until he was injured. Then you had Tom Brady, who we all know that story. This is the first time in Robert Kraft's tenure of owning the team they've been in this situation. I'm very interested to see how Kraft handles it because Bill Belichick has been with the team forever. When you think New England Patriots, there are two people you think of. You think Tom Brady first, Bill Belichick second. Brady's gone. That's over. So now you're moving on from that other piece. And I think everyone thought that Belichick was going to be there until he wanted to retire. So if he's gone, does another team grab him as their head coach?
Oh, I think there's about 20 other teams that are going to take that risk, right? And even though, yeah, this is a big blemish to his record, I think the reason New England moves on from Belichick is because they still have so many big pieces, and they still have a lot of players who can help them contend. So I think that's why New England needs to move on, because you lose that window of playoff contention very quickly. And as you look at the Panthers, look at the Jets, look at the bad teams in the NFL, it's very easy to get stuck there for the Jets for 10 years in that non-playoff area. So I think the Patriots, they have to move so it's not too late when they finally do move, because I think they will move eventually. In regards to who's going to pick him up, I mean, if you're a team like the Panthers, if you're a team that hasn't really had anything going well in coaching recently, I think you take that risk. I think there's many teams in the NFL that take that risk because Bill Belichick is a big name. I also would not be totally surprised if Belichick just decided to retire. I mean, I don't think he looks like he's going to retire. He hasn't sounded like he wants to retire. But if you do move away from the team you've been with for that long, like New England, that is your home now. Your family, your friends, everyone is there. So to move on from New England, it's going to be a tough transition for Belichick, especially because most of the league hates him. Or at least fandom-wise, he's the most hated coach in the NFL. So I would not be surprised if he retired.
It was so random. But I guess my concern would be if the Patriots move on from him, the argument that we're essentially building here is the Patriots would move on from him because he cannot develop a quarterback. Why would another team with a rookie or a young quarterback like Bryce Young, we talked Frank Reich is out now, or Justin Herbert if Brandon Staley gets fired, we have these young quarterbacks. Why would they bring in Bill Belichick if the main problem with him is he can't develop a quarterback?
Well, the argument would be that they don't see it that way. I think there's plenty of teams that are not going to make that. So us saying that Belichick cannot develop a quarterback is pretty much where we have to base this off is Mac Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Cam Newton was developed, so just more
Right.
can he make a quarterback besides Tom Brady work? I think there are teams that look at maybe Jimmy G, right? Jimmy G, a backup quarterback who had his best years as a backup when he stepped up in New England. And I think teams might look at situations like that and say, you know what, he was able to make Jimmy G look very good, and then Jimmy G got his big paydays down the road and didn't really turn out as well. But maybe there's something with Belichick there. I think teams will take that risk because Belichick is probably the biggest name in coaching, right? I mean, even Andy Reid does not have the name recognition that Bill Belichick has. So
Right.
I think it's a risk a lot of teams are willing to take if you don't have the coach right now. Another thing is it's a little bit harder, I think, right, looking at this next season, to find good head coaches, who are going to be promoted to those positions. Because look at all of the teams that are moving on or like this close to moving on from their head coach. That's a lot of NFL teams that don't have stability in the head coach room. I think it's going to be a premium on head coaches this year. You're going to have to pay a lot more, and you're going to have to bargain a lot more to get the right head coach in the building. So I think if the Patriots are moving on from him this season, I think he's not going to have any trouble finding a home because of how many teams are going to be looking for guys in their front office.
Well, this will be an interesting offseason if they do decide to move on. This will be comparable to the Aaron Rodgers situation, I think, where we didn't know where he was going to go. Thought he was going to the Broncos. Then he was like, psych, not going to the Broncos. He's going over to New York, gets hurt. I think Bill Belichick is going to be something where if it's like you're talking about, all these teams are going to be interested. It'll be, okay, what does Bill want to work with? Where does he want to go? And we'll find out randomly. Maybe he'll go on the Pat McAfee show and announce it like Aaron Rodgers did.
A quick note on that. Consider the situation with Sean Payton, right? I mean, they traded for a head coach, right? And Sean Payton, I think, is like the top 10 most paid personnel in the NFL, more than most teams' quarterbacks, right? So he's paid very, very well as a head coach. Belichick's pedigree, I would argue, is better than Payton's.
For sure.
So even though Payton has had success with his team, and now he's finally making it work with his new team, I think Belichick, if you look at what the market was for Sean Payton, Belichick definitely goes way above that. So, I mean, Belichick might be the number one most paid personnel when all this is over. We'll have to wait and see.
And people are going to say, this is going to come up inevitably at some point. They're going to say, well, Belichick, he's tainted because of Spygate and Deflategate. So was Sean Payton. Sean Payton got suspended for Bountygate, which is arguably worse than Spygate or Deflategate because he was allegedly, I don't know if they ever proved this, so I'm going to say allegedly, trying to get players to injure other players. That is way worse than deflating footballs allegedly or spying on other teams allegedly. So if Sean Payton still has a job through his stuff, I don't think that'll be the thing that holds Bill back from getting a job.
Also, Bill has way more Super Bowls than Payton, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's the difference maker, right? Teams want to win the Super Bowl. That's all every NFL team wants. So that makes a big difference for Belichick as well.
Thanks for watching that video, guys. If you want to check out a most recent full episode of No Buts About It, that's going to be right over here. Right there. Check that out. And if you just want to see more short clips, we're going to have one right over here for you to watch. Check out No Buts About It on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts so you can listen to us on the go. Once again, have a great day and go do something nice for someone.